Hey y'all, Scott here, and oh, wow, things are starting to get a little too real. Well, I hope you're all finding good ways to pass the time before the Switch launches. I know I am. Here are my most wanted Switch games! I would like to see a port of Smash Bros. 4 on the Nintendo Switch. I'm personally not in the mood for a brand new Smash game at the moment, as Smash 4 is already so big that I feel like I've had my fill on the franchise for at least the next few years or so. And I feel like Smash 4 is still fresh enough as a game to re-release it with, pieces of new content here and there to make most players happy. And with the concept of the Switch being handheld meets console, I think this is a golden opportunity to just merge the 3DS and Wii U games, or at the very least, bring the best of from the 3DS game to the Wii U one. Make it the Wii U game with the best of 3DS stages, or all the 3DS stages, and of course Smash Run, and maybe a few trophies here and there. But I think this is still a great opportunity to introduce a few new characters, whether it be veterans or a few newcomers, and of course new stages as well, maybe some new modes, but basically I would like the 3DS and Wii U games merged with possibly 3 or so newcomers and a bunch of new stages. The NES Remix series was a fun time waster between big releases on the Wii U and 3DS. I think Nintendo should continue this series with either NES Remix 3 comprised of third-party NES games, or better yet, moving on to SNES or Game Boy for the series, just as a fun way to moisten software droughts. Punch-Out needs to stop being just a throwback franchise and become a mainstay on Nintendo platforms. I believe Punch-Out has so much potential to become a continuous series for Nintendo, rather than just being that fun little NES game with the Wii revival. I would like new characters, new story, a new environment to fight in, new modes, just new everything. A new game entirely. The Wii game was amazing, but it felt like it just wasn't confident enough to be its own thing, and it relied too much on nostalgia with all the characters. There literally was only one new character in the entire game, plus Donkey Kong. So I would like to see a wholly new game from Punch-Out. You can have some old characters in there. Characters like Glass Joe and King Hippo feel like Punch-Out's Rainbow Road, mainstays in the series, but overall, a wholly new game. WarioWare has been a surprisingly dormant franchise since 2010, and yeah, we got Game & Wario on the Wii U, but that felt more like Nintendo Land 2 with a WarioWare skin. No, I want a traditional WarioWare game, and with the Joy-Cons and HD Rumble and all the cool motion detection in the Joy-Cons itself, I think the WarioWare team has to be thinking about what they can do with this. This could be bonkers! Mario Maker is one of the most necessary ports for the Nintendo Switch that I want. This game deserves to transcend generations rather than just be stuck in the 3DS and Wii U era. Of course, a sequel would be nice, but I'd be fine with just a port with some enhancements, additions, and continuous support through updates. Now, one of the biggest questions pertaining to Mario Maker on Switch is just how editing is going to be done, because the touchscreen is only accessible on the Switch through handheld mode. You can't use the touchscreen while docked. So, how is editing going to be done? I feel like Nintendo would just shoehorn in some D-pad controls, or maybe some controls with the IR pointer or gyroscope, just so then you can still edit things on the TV if you want to, because Nintendo's messaging with the Switch right now is that it's the same game anywhere you are, whether you're on the TV or on the go. So having a part of the game only accessible in handheld mode, I don't think Nintendo really wants to relay that to their fans. Pikmin for 3DS scares the piss out of me. Is this the Pikmin 4 Miyamoto's been talking about for a year and a half now? Oh god! I hope not. I just want a Pikmin game that's a continuation after Pikmin 3, but without the numbers. I feel like the numbers make Pikmin much more intimidating of a series to be introduced to, or to play for the first time, just because, you'd think that you have to play 1, 2, and 3 to enjoy Pikmin 4. That's really not the case. Pikmin is the type of series you can pick up and play with any entry in the series and just have as much fun as somebody who's been playing the series since Pikmin 1. In terms of stuff I want to see in Pikmin 4, or Pikmin blank, I want to see new single-player and multiplayer modes. I want to see some new captains introduced alongside Olimar, Louie, and possibly Alf, Brittany, and Charlie making a return in this game. But mostly, I just want to see a new Pikmin game in the style of 1, 2, and 3. Tomodachi Life on the 3DS was awesome, and then it got really boring and I got sick of it. I just think I would like to see a new entry on the Switch, but with content a little more randomized, so then, I'm playing for like a week, and I can still come back to the game, and I'm still seeing and hearing a lot of new things. I think Tomodachi Life didn't really do a good job at this because you play the game for a week and then after that you've seen and heard literally everything the characters are going to say and characters are just going to repeat themselves for eternity. I feel like with a new game I would like to see a lot more content and a lot more randomization in how that content is presented. Monkey Ball used to be a staple of Nintendo system launches, but recently the series has gone pretty silent. Of course, most new entries in the series have been either too easy or too gross for me to get incredibly happy if a new game is announced, but I think Sega has been incredibly serious about wanting to please their fans of their older franchises. And I think if they make a new Monkey Ball game with good controls and good level design, I think most people would be happy with that. And with HD Rumble, man, there's so many cool things they could do on the Switch. And I think that would be a relatively bangin' on the pretty bangin' scale. In terms of HD remakes, the game I want the most is Super Mario Sunshine. The game is phenomenal with a few flaws here and there that could be worked on. But look what they did with Wind Waker HD. They basically took the game and fixed a lot of the problems people had with it and made it even better. But I'm a greedy looking garbage man, so I want all the Mario games to be remade in HD, specifically the 3D ones. Now, of course, if Nintendo actually did this, there's no doubt they would sell all these 3D Mario games in HD individually, but a greedy-looking garbage man can dream, right? Imagine a warrior-style game with every amiibo compatible. Sounds pretty neat, right? Now, I don't think every amiibo should be compatible as a fighter. I'm specifically looking at the Animal Crossing amiibo cards. I think those would do better as assigning special attacks, weapons, costumes, stuff like that. However, you know, the majority of amiibo characters, I think those would be cool as fighters, and then you can level them up and take them to a friend's house and battle your friends in like some kind of battle mode. I think that would be awesome. Dude, I like way dig Puzzle League. Honestly, Tetris Attack is one of my favorite SNES games, and for those uninformed, it's called Puzzle League now. Now, the series has made a slight return in the form of the Animal Crossing New Leaf amiibo update. In that game, there's a little Puzzle League minigame you can play. However, I just want a brand new Puzzle League game, you know? New modes, online multiplayer, online leaderboards, just a new game. Harmonite is a rhythm game on the 3DS eShop developed by Game Freak, and it is sick! I just want a new one, you know? I just want new content, new mechanics, whatever. I just want a new game. I don't care who you are, you liked Wii Sports, okay? I don't care if you hate motion controls or you hate what the Wii did to the video game industry. You had your fun with Wii Sports, and I think the series has a ton of potential on the Switch, with the Joy-Cons, with the better motion detection and HD Rumble. I think Nintendo can do a lot of cool things with the series still. I think they need to get away from the Wii branding, of course, but also not adopt the Switch branding with the series. I think it would make more sense to rename it as Nintendo Sports, so then the game can be on future Nintendo platforms without it feeling weird or constantly changing its name. Of course, I don't want Nintendo to make nothing but these games. I really do like what they're doing now, where they're focusing more on hardcore type games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. But of course, you know, sprinkle in a few of these games every now and then, and I think everybody would be okay with that. And of course, I want a new Metroid, a new Animal Crossing, and I want to return to franchises long forgotten like Custom Robo, Chibi Robo, F-Zero, Wave Race, stuff like that, new Kid Icarus, and all the games in the form of an anti-lame virtual console service.
Wow, we're 8 minutes closer to the Nintendo Switch launching. Let me tell you, time really flies when anxiety reigns supreme. Let's be honest here, a console launch is a big step for us all. It's nerve-wracking. I spent $500 on the whole launch lot of Switch junk. I have to make sure I have no life on March 3rd, and I'm starting to think that email Best Buy sent me about my pre-order getting canceled meant something.